Alright, so this is quiz corrections for quiz 1-5, and this is the quiz you took last Friday. Even if you only miss 2 questions, you have to redo all of the questions, but whenever it comes time to say, why did you miss this question, you'll just put, I got it correct. So you will need to answer all of the extra questions for all of the quiz questions, even if you got them correct. Okay? That's part of how you get credit for your quiz corrections. So number 1, what is a solution set for, and go ahead and rewrite this, negative 4x plus 10 is greater than or equal to 5x plus 55. And we're going to solve this brick wall. And we're going to move the variable to the left because on inequalities, I like to have the variable on the left. But that doesn't mean we'll have to deal with some negatives. So we're going to subtract 5x on both sides. Negative 9x plus 10 is greater than or equal to 55. And now we can box in our variable. Minus 10 on both sides. Negative 9x is greater than or equal to 45. And the last step is to divide by negative 9. And remember, the rule says when you divide by negative, you flip the inequality sign around. So now x is less than or equal to negative 5, which gave us the answer of B. Number 2. We have negative 3x minus 4 is greater than or equal to 7. Go ahead and recopy that down. And then we're going to draw a brick wall. We're going to box in our variable. And we're going to add 4 to both sides. So I have negative 3x is greater than or equal to 11. And then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. So x, I divided by a negative, I flip the inequality sign, is less than or equal to negative 11/3. Now, this is asking for what is a solution to this inequality. And so you don't see negative 11/3 over here, but what you should do is change this negative 11/3 to a decimal. And if you change it in your calculator to a decimal, you get negative 3.6 repeating. And so this means anything less than negative 3.6 is an answer. So positives are not smaller than negatives, so those are out. And on a number line, negative 3 is bigger than negative 3.6. So that's out. And so your answer was negative 5. That was one of the most missed questions on the quiz. So it's about solutions. Anything smaller than negative 3.6 is a solution. So negative 5, negative 6, negative 100, all of those are smaller. Number 3, Sarah wants to save at least $7,000 for a trip she wants to take this summer. She currently has $850 in her bank account and she earns $150 per day working. Which inequality can she use to determine the number of days, D, she needs to work to reach her goal of at least $7,000? So my hint was that you should write it your way and then flip it around. And when I say your way, what makes sense to me is if I say she needs at least $7,000, just like you need at least a 70 to pass my class, you need more than or equal to a 70. So this is greater than or equal to 7,000. And she already has $850 and she's adding $150 every day. And so this is what the inequality, this is how it makes sense to me to write it initially, and then you need to just pretend you're picking it up off the paper and flipping it around. So if you did that, you would say 7,000 is less than everything you're trying to save. Otherwise, you wouldn't have enough. Okay, so this green part has to be bigger. So even if you flip it around, it has to be bigger. And this side has to be smaller. So if you were looking at your inequality chart, this side is smaller than this side. That's why it's less than or equal to. And so the answer here is C. And it doesn't matter if you write 850 plus 150D, or like it's in the problem, 150D plus 850. Those are the same, forwards and backwards. But it's that inequality symbol that got everybody confused. So it's just keep in mind which side has to be bigger. This side has to be bigger. If I look at letter B, which is what a lot of people chose, it's saying that 7,000 is bigger, but you can't want more if you're not going to save it. Number 4, go ahead and rewrite it. 5 times 3 minus x in parentheses is less than negative 2x plus 6. So we have some distributive property here. We're going to multiply 5 times everything. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times negative x is negative 5x. Is less than negative 2x plus 6. And again, I am going to move the variable to the left because we're talking about inequalities, and even if I'm going to get some negatives. So we're going to add 2x to both sides, which gives me 15 minus 3x, negative 5 plus 2 is negative 3, is less than, that's a 0 pair, 6. And now I can box in my variable term. I'm going to minus 15 on both sides. Negative 3x is less than negative 9. And I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. Remember the rule, when you divide by a negative, you flip the inequality sign. So x is greater, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive. X is greater than 3. Your answer here was A. All right, last one. Alice plans to buy some t-shirts and a jacket at the mall. A t-shirt costs $14.29, and the jacket costs $24.57. If Alice has $90 to spend, how many t-shirts can she buy? So I'm going to say X is the number of t-shirts. And for this one, you had to write your inequality, solve your inequality, and then tell me what it meant. And here, if we're saying that t-shirts are $14.29 and X is the number of t-shirts, then X has to go with that number. And she also is going to buy a jacket for $24.57. And she has $90 to spend. So think about it. If you only have $90 when you go to the store, you can't spend more, but you can spend less, or you can spend equal to $90. So now we're going to solve this. Brick wall. Box in your variable. Subtract 24.57 on both sides. So I have 1429x is less than or equal to 6543. And then we're going to divide both sides by 1429. And we leave the inequality sign the same because we're dividing by a positive. So x is less than or equal to 4.6. And so you got 5 points for having the right inequality and 5 points for solving it correctly. Sorry, that line, just drew that in there on accident. But you need to write a complete sentence. So here we're going to say Alice can buy 4 t-shirts or less. Because remember, you can go to the store and you can spend less than $90, so you don't have to spend everything that you have. However, you cannot go to the store and rip a shirt in half and say, I'm going to buy 4.5 shirts. That's not an option. You either buy the whole thing, even if you rip it in half, or you don't buy it at all. So we need to go less than what this says. We cannot round up. So there you go.